who are joining us on on YouTube and on our YouTube stream. Okay, so how can we describe the Catalonia track? It's like a pillow that has a bit of weight on it. Trying to draw the outline of a pillow that has a bit of weight on it. Right? Did I get it right? Perfect.
Perfect.
Ah.
Perfect.
Okay, so
Very
my prize is a bottle of champagne tomorrow.
Oh, for sure.
Thank you, thank you. Nana, na umami prize.
We'll sit down, have a tea tomorrow.
Anyway, I mean, I always like to focus on degree of difficulty. I mean, the very known fast straight, in the Spanish track, and a few, slow curves and all of that. A sure is one that is a good tonic for a good race.
Yes, for sure. It has slow and medium and fast curves, all three types of curves,
Very well.
and a straight and a pitch straight. So it will test the car to the limit, and it will test your tires to the limit. So tomorrow's race is going to be all about tires and strategy. That's what I think.
Tires and strategy. Nana, I don't know if you have a different opinion.
No, I think Nana's right. And like he said, the drivers and the pit crew are now thinking how to start tomorrow's race. There are going to be opportunities for people to overtake. Some people may get overexcited. Some of the drivers may get overexcited, and that's when they start getting into problems. So,
Yeah. All right, now looking at how the season has gone so far, what kind of trends would you be expecting in terms of the the way the race is going to go by 25 laps? How would you want to see it by 30 laps, by 40 laps? How would you want to see it?
Tomorrow's race is going to be very, very interesting because the teams don't know what tires to start on. And if people start on hard tires, they're going to go far into the race.
Very well.
I think it will be the fastest way might be a two-stopper.
Okay.
And there's not much difference between the first and the 10th car on the grid.
Right.
So tomorrow it's going to be one of the most interesting races that we've had this year. And it looks like the Mercedes are coming back into form. And George Russell especially has been showing great form, So anything can happen. And I'm finding the octopus himself is finding it difficult to predict what will happen.
Wow, for the first time in a long time.
yeah.
In a long time.
Wow, interesting. Nana, the doc made mention of Mercedes and how they're gradually getting reinvigorated. How much of an effect are you expecting that to have on tomorrow's race and probably the outcome?
I think they're going to be very competitive tomorrow. And like Nana said, it will depend a lot on the tires that each of the drivers start on and how far they can go into the race before they start their pit stops. Even the pit stops are going to have to be managed very well. When do you bring your driver in and when do you get them out? Because if they get out and get into traffic, no matter how much lead you had when you started, you might get into trouble. So it's going to be very, very critical. I expect the Mercedes to compete, and I'm happy about that because, it's been Red Bull and Ferrari, my Ferrari, dominating so far. But it's good to have a third team. We don't want to see Mercedes struggling. Yeah.
Okay, so Doc, for the first time, is saying he's struggling to try to place it, on the podium. Now, what will be your expectations?
I expect Leclerc to win it, or at least be on the podium. I expect one of the Mercedes to be there as well. The Red Bull are not doing very well in practice. Nana was just telling me that there are issues with the car. They've been found out, sort of, and that's a worry. So if they are not comfortable with their car, they are not going to be able to compete very well. But I expect the Mercedes and Ferrari to be on podium.
Okay, Nana. Now that the other, the red Nana has spoken, I'm sure now it will ease it off a little bit and make it easier for you to try to hazard a bit of it. He makes mention of Leclerc, and Leclerc this season has been amazing in terms of what he's shown. From the start of the season all the way down. Dominating on race day one and coming in here. Obviously, his fans are also going to just take the train and just run into Catalonia. Leclerc looking likely for you?
It looks like Sainz deserves one win. He's been trying for so long; it has never happened to him. And this weekend, he's been looking very, very sharp.
Okay.
So very likely, my gut feeling is beginning to tell me that Sainz might make it because it's his home.
Okay, yeah.
He has all the fans, and if the pressure doesn't get to him, with the good car that he has, maybe he will make it.
He has the same car as Leclerc, so yeah, not much.
So he will bide his time behind Leclerc if Leclerc is on pole, and use a counter strategy and maybe get ahead of him. Max had a good race pace yesterday. His one lap pace is not good enough, but you can't count Max out. So I have a feeling it's going to be like Sainz, Max, and Lewis.
Okay.
For a change, you know, it has not happened this season. Maybe that is what will happen.
Okay.
That's one for the bookies.
That's one for the point of correction. I didn't go and see the bookies, so
yeah.
Good disclaimer, especially
Not knowing the
considering.
conversation you're going to have next.
Exactly. Oh my goodness! All right, so tomorrow it will be on, and of course, free practice is at free practice 1 is at okay. That has happened
That's
already.
all
Of
done,
course, free practice qualifying is at 2 p.m. Just about an hour and a half from now, and then gates open at the Labadi Beach Hotel at 11, and then lights out 1 p.m. for something that will be one of the most exciting races so far this season in the Formula One. And so big ups to all of our friends, DSTV, Labadi Beach Hotel, Marina Mall, and Starbites, Joy Sports, Joy99.7 FM collaborating greatly to bring this one. So let's see how the atmosphere works out. And sure.
please don't forget to add that after the race, we are watching all the Premier League games.
Oh yes.
We have two big
Final
screens.
day.
We have two big screens, so we'll be watching Liverpool on one side and Man City's game on the other.
On the other, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just before we wrap it all up, Nana, tell me something. I mean, look, it sure is it's going to be a very, very interesting, day, final day. Talk to me.
It's in City's hands to lose it. I mean, they are a point ahead. They have
I
better
like
goal
your
difference.
honesty. Yeah.
But we're going to win our game and watch them. The pressure is on them not to bottle it. I mean, in 2012, they nearly bottled it until that Aguero goal.
Yeah.
So are they going to be able to do it this time? We've seen them. I mean, remember, they had Real Madrid in the Champions League. Look at what happened. So they could bottle it, and then, hey, we'll be there to celebrate.
Well,
The quadruple is on, right? The double is already in the bag.
we the Chelsea fans don't want to smile at you guys right now, Anyway, so let's see how all of it goes.
Fans are very annoyed.
Hey, as for Man U, I think you'll take a whole forum and a whole conference to discuss. Greetings to all of our Man U fans out there.
So who are you supporting tomorrow?
Tomorrow, none of them.
You don't like us.
I don't
You don't like your noisy
I
neighbors.
don't like my noisy neighbors.
Okay, so let's see how all of it ends up. And of course, it's going to be a packed and interesting final day, and we're going to bring you everything right here on the Joy Sports Arena with all of the games and all of the updates in collaboration with our partners, the BBC. All right, so Nana Dr. Santiapia, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nana Saibwedi. Tomorrow, 1 p.m. is lights out, getting early at the Labadi Beach Hotel, and our cameras will be there as usual to bring you, to get your views and get your analysis, after the big action, and let's see whose prediction comes through. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
It's been wonderful
Thank you.
having you here. Thank you so much. So you're still here on the Joy Sports link on Joy 99.7 FM. We're discussing that very big problem that has reared its head once again. Did it begin with Inter Allies and Ashanti Gold? If it didn't, how big is the problem? And how do we move on from there? All of this is right here on Joy 99.7 FM. My name is Nathaniel Atto. And of course, joining me here is a seasoned journalist who has loads and loads of well-researched and well-thought articles to his name. He's played several roles in terms of leading, editorial teams in various key capacities as well. And over the years, he's had a very, very critical voice of what should be right. And he's been advocating for what should be done right. Today, Jerome Autry joins me here in the studio for analysis on this particular matter. Also joining us virtually will be seasoned analyst and lecturer and communications professional Carl Tufor. Also joining us will be Osei Owusu-Bempa, a seasoned football analyst and a health administration professional. The board director, director of Accra Hearts of Oak, Mr. Vincent Suwa Odote, will also be joining us from a distance as well on this particular subject. We'll also be reaching the Vice President of the Sports Writers Association of Ghana, Morris Kwanzaa. He will also be bringing his perspective. So, a packed team, a big conversation to have. You send in your messages 055 1111997 055 1111997 here on the show. It's the Joy Sports Link. Thank you very much for staying with us. Chant a psalm from Steel Pulse right there to start it all off for us. So Ashanti Gold and Inter Allies were relegated to the third tier of Ghana footballs, and officials of both clubs were also sanctioned. They were given various sanctions for match fixing. Now, the Ghana Premier League game between the two sides in September of last year ended 7-0 to Ashanti Gold, with Hashmin Musa scoring 2 of the goals as he claimed to try to prevent a pre-arranged 5-1 scoreline. Now, Musa's claims and notifications of suspicious betting patterns were investigated by the Ghana Football Association, who have found both teams guilty of match manipulation, as well as both teams having to play in Division 2 football next season. Several club officials, coaches and players were banned from football. Now, the most severe sanction was given to Inter Allies volunteer Emmanuel Ni Amwa, who was also known as Ni Gogo, who was barred for life in his role in the whole fix. Ashanti Gold President Dr. Kweku Frimpong was given a 10-year ban and fined 100,000 Ghana cedis, which is $13,000 while his son Emmanuel Frimpong, the club's chief executive, got an 8-year ban and a fine of 50,000 Ghana cedis. Now, Musa, the player, the defender, has been banned for 2 years, but his sanction was reduced to 6 months after he played a role in unraveling this whole myth. So many different sanctions given. Now, 14 Ashanti Gold players were also suspended for between 2 to 4 years, and the club's sporting director was also given a 4-year ban. Okay, so this is just a little gist of what happened, during the week. And based on that, we have had several, reactions. We'll take the reactions of both clubs. Now, just a few days ago, when Kumasi Asante Kotoko were supposed to play Ashanti Gold in a Ghana Premier League fixture, that game had to be halted because there were indications of, lack of security and a potential threat, of fans, misbehaving and all of that. So this game has been put on hold. Kumasi Asante Kotoko did not honor that game. Now, this is a subject which will also be discussed later on, and a determination will be made because that game has to be played, so the Ghana Premier League can wrap up properly. Now, we will be bringing you different, perspectives to this conversation. We had a conversation with a lawyer for Inter Allies, and he has been explaining the key points based on which they, as an entity and as a club, have filed in an appeal. Ashanti Gold also brought in half of the full communication that they wanted to, to release ahead of the cancellation of that game between their club and Kumasi Asante Kotoko. We'll be getting into excerpts of that release that was sent by Ashanti Gold. The indications that I get from within the club are that the full, release will be sent in on Monday. And based on that, the club was going to also take other measures as well. So we've also heard from some individuals who have said that they are not to be blamed or they haven't done anything wrong in this particular case. There have been, some individuals have also gone to counter certain things that have been written in the disciplinary committee's report on this investigation. So we'll start off the conversation, but just before that, let us take a listen to former Asante Kotoko CEO Herbert Mensah, who also waded into the conversation and has his thoughts to give on this particular development. He says that work such as this by the Ghana FA becomes very crucial in wanting to clean up the image of the Ghana Premier League. Let's take a listen to Herbert Mensah.
Game to go back to the points where stadiums are full and the interest was even bigger than for the EPL. It happened once upon a time. We need to get back there again. And I think as we clean up the image and we show that our governing bodies and the powers that be are serious about cleaning up our image, then it'll take us a long way back to being able to go back to capital, to private business, to money, and to the supporters who are the most important groups of people, and show them that we're serious. What you're watching is real. It's not staged. No peculiar penalties or own goals. No 5-0, 7-0, 6-0. No things that simply defy understanding in many ways. There can be bad games. I get that. But let us move quickly and fast away from this point. That global world of which I'm in, which one saw in the gentleman's game of cricket, superstars being banned because of gambling rings in Asia. They say they are Turkish rings, the Asian rings, who are all betting and gambling off the Ghanaian soccer scene. Let's kick it out. Let's get rid of it. Let this be the first stage. And FA, the executives, the members, the people who vote, let's give these committees greater power so that we can criminalize those who are involved in this. We can get quicker action taken at the same time. And hopefully, with other things being done, the image of the game can improve.
Is a former CEO of Kumasi Asante Kotoko and a seasoned businessman. Well, here with me in the studio is Jerome Ochre. Jerome, thank you so much for your time. It's always good to have your perspective to these conversations. All right, now, you heard from Herbert Mensah, and we will be getting into the reactions that came from Inter Allies and Ashanti Gold. But he is clear. He talks about these betting rings who have infiltrated our system. The quick question is this something that is just popping up? Is this something that has always been there, especially within our football market here in Ghana?
I think it's been there, only that we've not had the evidence to show that indeed some of our matches are fixed and that clubs also collude with some of these guys behind the scenes.
So for instance, the number 12 documentary is one that gave a certain level of evidence?
Yes, and you see, the thing has always been with, do you have evidence to support your claim? Because we all watch football matches, and a lot of the matches we see, you sometimes want to think that something might have happened behind the scenes, but then it will come down to where is the evidence to support the claim that there was something wrong somewhere. And for me, this incident or this by Ash Gold and Inter Allies goes to show that there might be something deeper than we think. I mean, the issue might be much stronger than we have been presented with. And we would have to take our time to look at maybe matches that have been played in the past, how things went, and begin to question them. But if we are going to leave it like this and always ask for evidence and we are not able to provide evidence, then we are going to have problems. We need to pay attention to our league and look at some of the things that go on and begin to ask serious questions. Because, see, a lot has been said about this Ashgo thing, that if, for instance, Kesben Sports had not come out with a video showing us what went on in the game, especially relative to the goals, we probably wouldn't have been here. So, Nat, I believe that it's a bigger problem than we think. But the problem is, do we have evidence to support any suspicion we have? We would have to go inside and find out. Otherwise, it's always going to be about allegations. And once you can't prove the allegations, logically, you would have to dismiss any claim anybody makes. Then, there will be, because, I mean, if you speak to journalists covering the Ghana Premier League, everyone will tell you, we hear stories, but are those stories true? We need to go behind what we hear and find out whether or not what we hear is true.
Well, our text console is really buzzing. We'll be sharing the messages with you very shortly, but do remember it's +233 55 11 11 997. +233 55 11 997. We're bringing to you this conversation about the betting scandal that hit the Ghana Premier League. How deep-rooted the problem is and how we can move on from here. Would also want to look into the effort by the Ghana FA and how good this effort is and how more can be done to ensure that we don't have such incidents here. Of course, it also is a very global phenomenon.
Yeah, of course it is. And it is
immediately this was done, I was just throwing back to the year 2006 when Juventus had to be demoted into lower tier Italian football.
Yeah, so we know that it didn't start from here. In fact, it's been on over and over, I mean, for a long time elsewhere. The good thing there is that even though it's there, once you are caught, you are dealt with. And so, based on what I have read and what I have seen, my conviction is in Europe and other places like Asia, the systems are there to check these things. So even though it's so present in their football, in their sports, I mean, let's not even limit it to football. In their sports, it is present. Once they have a feeling or they can tell that certain sporting events have been manipulated and results go in a certain way, they go in and check. And if you are found to be guilty of whatever they suspected, you are punished. Like the Juventus example, I was very young then. But when I heard it, I was surprised. I mean, the whole Juventus being sunk into lower tier Division 2, it was a big story. So yes, it's not just here. It happens elsewhere. But the truth or the fact of the matter is that there, if you are caught, the punishment is severe so that it serves as deterrent to others, just like we have had here. I have been supportive of the decision of the FA, not because I think Ash Gold is so, I mean, those who did this are so bad that they ought to be punished. No, not that. I just have a feeling that we need to take certain actions so that would-be offenders, if they are not deterred, will be thinking, look, these things, if we go into it, this is how it's going to happen. So let's stay away from it. Or they will not do it at all. We need to send certain signals. Because, Nat, what do? We talk about sports. We report on football. If we are going to spend so much time on football, looking for even corporate support, urging fans to come to the stadium to pay money and watch football, but at the end of the day, these matches we are calling fans to come and watch are predetermined. Then what's the point? Then we don't have to do anything. We just have to sleep in our homes and maybe divert our interest somewhere, because we can't travel. And I've been saying this all week. We cannot, for instance, be on buses from Accra to Obuasi to watch a game involving Ash Gold, and behind the scenes, the outcome of the game is already known. If that is the case, we don't have to go. We don't have to worry ourselves calling on corporate bodies to come and support our game. And that is why I am so supportive of the stance or the decision taken by the FA, because we need to bring some confidence into the system that is managing our league, so that someone sitting somewhere who may want to invest will have it at the back of his mind that going into the Ghana League, if there are problems of match fixing, this is how the Ghana FA deals with it. And that in itself has a way of breathing confidence into our system. If we don't do that and we leave it to just anybody, like anybody can fix matches in our game, in our league, and nothing happens, no one will come.
Well, there are some messages in already. Let me share some of them with you. Charles Benoni Okain has sent this one. Nat, this match fixing thing should not be taken lightly, particularly at a time when the game in Ghana is under siege by foreign preference. Now, to me, the sanctions are too light. However, criminal charges must be initiated to have those involved tried and jailed. There must be also a deeper set of investigations to bring the betting game and how officials of clubs are compromised. No matter the size, fame, or pedigree of any club, once found guilty, they must face the music. Thank you very much, Charles Benoni Okai. Another message here is from Dr. Fish in Sakaman. Dr. Fish in Sakaman has sent this message, and I'll retrieve it very shortly. Dr. Fish in Sakaman sending this message on our WhatsApp console. All right, so I'll be reading that message very shortly. But there is this other, part of the conversation that goes to suggest that the FA sometimes gets on a witch hunt, and because of that wants to make scapegoats out of those who may not be in support of the administration and all. We hear the clubs say all of these things.
I'm not here to speak for the FA, but from my understanding of football and the things that happen, relative to match fixing, I would want anybody to tell me when and how the FA has been on a witch hunt. There can be other circumstances where you can accuse the FA of maybe being selective in its application of the rules, or, selective justice, like some people talk about them. But in the case of match fixing, I don't know of any instance or any incident where the FA has been selective. Here on our table, it's a match involving Ash Gold and Inter Allies. Some evidence was adduced that this game was fixed. Going by the FA's rules, the FA has been able to come out with a ruling that says that based on A, B, and C, we are punishing you. I cannot understand why and how anybody can convince me that this was an FA out there to punish Ash Gold because maybe he doesn't like people managing the club there, or this was an FA that has problems with Inter Allies, and so if Inter Allies is involved in this, let us use that to hit them and throw them out of the Division 1 league. I don't find, or I haven't found any evidence or anything that tells me that the FA has been on a witch hunt in the case of match fixing, because where is it? All of us saw the game. All of us heard Hashmin say on radio or in that audio that he heard that the game has been fixed, and so he wanted to destroy whatever had been planned.
Let's quickly take a look at his case. It was given a ban for 2 years, and then it was reduced to 6 months.
Yes.
I've had a conversation with a few people who think, look, if this guy blew the whistle, unfortunately he had to blow it this way, they should have let him go.
Yes, and I see some wisdom in what people have said. That's part of the discussion.
Yeah.
Which, it's not bad. The FA could have said, okay, for being a whistleblower, coming to us or telling the world what happened, you are excused from any punishment. But not, let's also look at it this way. Weren't there avenues where he could have used and maybe tell the match commissioner, tell the referee, even go to his own club officials and tell them that this is what I've heard. For that reason, I think we should pay particular attention to this game and how things are going to pan out. He could have done that. Unless I'm so ignorant of the issues that there was no way he could have done that. But I have read the FA's ruling, and the FA makes it clear that he could have done that. Or players subsequently, from now, are being urged to do such things. If you hear that such and such are to take place, you can give prior information.
So in this case, it was a clear issue of timing.
Yeah,
the timing of his action.
If I was
been better.
Yes, if I was part of the committee that came out with this ruling, I probably would have suggested that he should be pardoned. But if you look at the fact that he was given 24 months and it's been reduced to 6 months, it should be understood that there's been some form of mercy shown to him because he was the informant here. You see, we need to let people understand that players have no business doing the kind of things these Ash Gold players and Inter Allies players did. We need to let them understand. In Hashmin's case, if you look at it carefully, he took the law into his own hands. When he could have perhaps gone to a higher authority and let them know that this is what has been planned. My intention is to do this, but on a second thought, I'm thinking that coming to you, you perhaps have the authority to stop it, or to, do something to prevent it. But he didn't do that. He decided to score 2 own goals. And today you look at the video and everybody is laughing, because it hasn't usually happened that a player will do what he did, unless under the circumstances they presented to us. So I'm saying that, yes, he could have been pardoned, but if you look at the fact of the issue, he has actually been pardoned, because the ban he's supposed to serve was 24 months and it's been reduced to 6. That should be enough. And also to let others know that if you take the same path, you risk being punished. So if you have any information of that nature, you have to come to the FA or anybody you believe can help deal with the situation to deal with it, than to go into the match and by your own means destroy what you think has been planned.
There's a message from Dr. Fish in Sakaman. It says, "Good afternoon, Nat and crew. The GFA Disciplinary Committee did a great job on this shameful match-fixing scandal. However, I have a problem with the timing of the release. Nat, it looks like as if the release came in to sway football fans from the abysmal performance of the Kobo family and friends under 20 elimination from Niger 2022. And the most asked question is, why not wait till the end of the season before the release so that we have a smooth running of our ongoing league? Well, good works, but the timing and the result of the release has demoralized some players and made our ongoing league uninteresting to some extent." Thank you very much, Dr. Fish in Sakaman. Dr. Fish is talking about the timing of the release, which is something that has also come up.
Yes, and that's also valid. It's valid in the sense that if you have an ongoing competition and one of the teams in the competition is involved in such a thing, and you punish them by saying you've been punished, but your punishment only takes effect after the competition. To be honest with you, it doesn't make any sense, because here is a team that is tainted in a way, and they have some more matches to play, and you are saying that you are convicted of this and that, yet you can go on and play. After the competition ends, you begin to serve your punishment. It makes no sense. What the FA should have done, in my view, if they so much believe that Ash Gold deserve to be demoted to Division 2, the best would have been expunge them from the competition. Take them out of the competition. Whatever points that teams have earned from them, those points are also cancelled. Because you see, how do I commit a crime and then I am supposed to go home and enjoy my life, and after some time I'm brought to prison? Then what is the essence of the punishment? The punishment is supposed to send a certain message that you can't do this. But if I have the comfort to do what I'm not supposed to do, and then come back and serve my punishment, then what message are you sending? Because the remaining matches, I'm not saying they will do that, but if they are to play, there is every chance that they can manipulate those matches too. So in terms of the timing, the problem I have with what the FA did is not so much to do with when they released it, because once the judgment was ready, it was important they release it so that we know the outcome of it. It's taken 9-10 months for this, for the FA to arrive at this point. So if it's ready, why hold it back? Why delay? But then, in releasing it, Ash Gold should have been thrown out of the league competition. Or, if they don't think it is okay to kick them out of the competition, then wait. Let the league end. And after all, we are just a few weeks away from the end. They could have waited and then kicked them out once the competition is over. The point about using it to kill other negative stories that were, around the FA, Nat, you are a very good communications person. This is done. If that is what the FA sought to do, I think they achieved it. And I have nothing against that. If I am in their position, I'll do the same thing. In managing crisis and stuff like that, if there is some information or some news out there that I think it's
Going to suppress the effect. Yeah.
affecting me negatively. I mean, in terms of my public image, and there is something to kill it or neutralize it. Why not? You release the information, so you divert attention. It is done. This is not something we should even argue over. It is done.
Yes, of course.
I would even urge companies who. I mean, this is not something we should even talk about. It's done. We have to look at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that our football risked being destroyed by corruption and activities like this. The FA has gone into the matter to look at what happened and has applied the rules as they are. If you have any problem with it, that's why there's a room for appeal. Go ahead and do it.
And that exactly is what both sides are working on at this time. We'll be getting into the communication that both sides have sent. I'm talking about Ashanti Gold and Inter Allies. There's a message from Ajiman Joseph, a regular contributor and a texter to this show. He says, "Good afternoon, Nat, and thank God you're back. For me, I think even though the FA has done something good, they should have been more proactive. Why should last season's incident affect the league this season?" Okay. That is, one of the messages that are coming in. We'll be sharing some more with you. Remember, it's 055-11-11997. 055-11-11997 is the text console. It's for the text WhatsApp console. Well, we'll be getting into the reactions very shortly, but let me get on the phone line and speak to Mr. Carl Tufor, who years ago sat in this seat, a pioneering, face behind what we do here at Joy Sports, and a seasoned lecturer as well and communications professional. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Carl Tufor, for your time.
Nat, are you trying to be too officious?
I just had a feeling. Sometimes when you're doing something wrong, you have the feeling, yet you go ahead and do it. So I was also asking myself, but what's happening? Good to have you on the show.
Great.
Well, very well. Okay, let me just get into your mind. The first thing that struck you immediately you got exposed to this news item that, this decision had been reached after months of investigation.
First thing for me was, it's good. Absolutely good. But there's a problem.
Tell me.
There's so many things that I haven't got answers to.
For instance?
When did the idea come up, or when did the report come out that there could have been the possibility of a match of convenience? How long did it take? Did the news come out when the season had started? Did it come out at the end of last season? Because it could and should have changed the whole complexion of what we are in now, if we have an idea.
Yeah.
If, for instance, this allegation had come up at the end of last season, then maybe the FA should have been a bit more proactive by not starting the league until the outcome of the DC.
Okay.
If it started, or if it became public knowledge, or they became aware of it during the course of the season, still the question of when. Because let's assume it got there at the end of the first round, or just as the first round was about to end. You probably would want to put it on hold and look at the implications. Having said that, it's a bold move by the DC, and I applaud them for it. However, I still haven't got adequate information. Adequate information that I need evidence to be sure. So the first thing I'd say is that great guys on the DC, but have they opened a Pandora's box? Are we to say that they have enough evidence that can stand in a court of competent jurisdiction. Because one of the things I heard Jerome in the studio say was, it was the guy who said he did score 2 own goals so that the match would, the fifth match of 5-1 was thrown out of the window. But then again, you ask yourself, is his word against another's word? Second thing you need to look at, you are aware that the quotation marks here, the people who have been implicated or indicted by this finding, have the right, one, to go to the appeal committee of the FA.
Sure.
If they're not satisfied with that, they can go to the Court of Arbitration for Sports. And if they are still not satisfied with that, they can damn the consequences and go to a court of competent jurisdiction. And you know what happens when we go there?
Yeah. Yes.
They'll place an injunction, which means you are back to square one in an abyss. So I look, I read, and I ask myself, where do we go from here? It's a bold decision by the DC of the FA. It's a very bold decision, and I applaud them for taking that. My worry now is the league, as it's going on now, has totally been compromised. It's been compromised because, one, what happens to the other matches? Two, if that is the case, what are you going to do? Why didn't they take some decision on the matches that both leagues have played? And more importantly, and for me, everything about the decision was good except what I'm going to say. The final decision, the ultimate decision, that they were going to, the sanctions also were going to take place at the end of the season. That to me, unfortunately, was ridiculous. If you found somebody now, it's like telling me that a court finds somebody guilty, but they're saying you started from January to go and put your house in order. I found that surprising. If it was a matter of convenience and the DC believes in it, the sanctions should have been now. Let's not fool ourselves, Nat, that this is something new. I heard Jerome talking about speculation, so I'll use the word alleged. Listen, when I was growing up here, it was happening, but there was no evidence after the case. You would have matches of convenience where somebody could get up and score 5 goals, and the match will come out 7-5 and head off in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Then again, were we not in this country when we had 29-0, 31-0? So you can see, there's nothing new. But it's how the FA acts and covers itself in acting, which will act as a deterrent. The DC has acted. For me, it's fine, but I hope they plug in all the loopholes. The good thing about it is that I know 3 of the lawyers on the DC and the chair, and I think they are fine gentlemen who did a good job. But that last one, it will take effect at the end of the season.
All right, Carl. So would be doing some calculations regarding how it's going to look for next season, especially because we sure are not going to have an Ashanti Gold in there. But on the general scale, what is your expectation, especially from the communicator's point of view, regarding the effect it's going to have? On one scale, you have the Ghana FA taking a very crucial decision. They've been applauded for it. Is corporate Ghana going to see support for the league from the angle of the decision that has been taken by the FA, or from the wrong that has gone on?
If corporate Ghana sees and hears of the decisions taken by the DC, they could be assuaged or convinced that the FA has it in control.
Okay.
But that will be dependent on the final outcome, and that is the whole process of the appeal, which they have already said they were going to do and the possibility of going to CAS and who knows, a court of competence jurisdiction.
Because the manager has understood the strengths of the player.
It proves to be right, and the FA are exonerated throughout all the various steps. Then corporate Ghana will become convinced. At least this is an entity prepared to clamp down on fixed matches. But you must learn from your history. If you go back to 1980, I heard Jerome talk about Juventus in 1990.
Juventus was in 2006.
Oh, no, 2006.
Yes.
But you go back to 1980, the same Italy. They had, I'm sure you've heard of the name Paolo Rossi.
Sure.
He set the World Cup alight in 82 by emerging as the top goal scorer and winning more or less the cup for Italy. But are you aware that 2 years earlier, in 1980, this same Paolo Rossi was implicated in a major bribery scandal, betting scandal, and was suspended for 3 years, later reduced to 2. And that's how come he came back in April for him to play about 4 or 5 games, which the then coach of Italy, Biazot, then included him in the squad for Italy, for Spain 82 and Italy squad, and that's what became history.
Very well.
So you can see that even though, and at that particular time, certain clubs, his club, Perugia, and another one, I can't remember which one it was, I think Cagliari also, I'm not 100% sure, but Perugia were instantly demoted. Guess what? 26 years later, did it act as a deterrent for Luciano Moggi and the rest to try and fix the Calciopoli scandal in Italy? It didn't seem to change, it did it. So there is no guarantee that whatever decisions you take with this, it may change the clubs. However, when you are seen to be working on it, when you're seen to be fighting it, that's when corporate Ghana then becomes convinced. But then again, too, let's not mince words. Corporate Ghana themselves, are they immune from some of these hanky-pankies that go on within the external social political system in which they operate in? Ask ourselves again.
Carl, thank you so much. We're very grateful for your time this afternoon.
The pleasure is mine.
Thank you. Carl Tufo is a seasoned lecturer and football analyst and broadcaster as well. I would be getting to speak to a board member of Accra Hearts of Oak, Mr. Vincent Sua Odote, who also previously was an FA presidential aspirant. He has worked within this space for a very long time and has been a campaigner for what we should be doing right. Vincent Sua Odote was one of the people who started very heavily to campaign for the adoption of, standards within our football, within the FIFA framework, and gladly at this time we have a unit within the Ghana FA that is championing these causes, and so there's good compliance. And one of them is the fact that now Ghana Premier League coaches have to have CAF license A before they can, coach in the Premier League. Wonderful stuff, and there's still a lot more to do. So club licensing, I got exposed to club licensing through Vincent Sua Odote. We'll take his thoughts very shortly on the phone line, but let's to do this one from Patrick Chumesi. It says, well, good afternoon, Nat. Anas raised the red flags in our football league, and many found reasons to speak against him and his team. Now, they were accused of portraying Ghana football in a bad light and trying to collapse football in the country. But today we're witnessing true evidence. What do we say about this? I would prefer stiffer punishment to deter any team or group of people with any such intention. These are what drive sponsors away and turn the faith off in our Premier League. Thank you very much, Patrick Chumesi, for that message. We'll do some more in a bit, but let's get on the phone line and have a conversation with Mr. Vincent Sua Odote. Thank you so much, Uncle Vince, for your time.
Thanks very much, Citizen. How are you?
I'm great. All right.
Thanks for having me.
Very well. I mean, you are a known campaigner for the right things to be done. Like I said, you've gone on various campaigns, in trying to get things right in our Ghana Premier League especially. This is where we find ourselves. Carl Tufor made a very interesting point about how sometimes even punishments do not deter. However, the visibility and the effort that's been made becomes very crucial.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, thanks for having me. My regards to your listeners. I don't think society as a whole will ever stop doing the wrong things. When you look at those of us who believe in the Bible, I'm sure these things, some of the vices we see in society have been there. But I agree with Carl. It is the attention and then the effort we put to making sure that we do the right thing that will signal and give confidence to third parties and our stakeholders to know that we are serious about it. And also, the leadership of the FA must stand firm, and they must make sure that they send the right signals to stamp out this or maybe eliminate it to the barest minimum, so that anybody who is found culpable, the rules are clear. And the punishment, I don't think the punishment will completely deter people, because one, there's financial benefit to be gained, the motivation of people and their considerations are different. But we must show the leadership, we must show that we are responsible, we must show that we care about the product, the football that we all devote our time for. And that is to make sure that we let people know, we know where the lines are, we know sure the integrity of the game, what we see there is impeccable and it's assured. That's the way we can develop our football.
Now, you hear these conversations and it goes to suggest that, while we've not seen the evidence, the problem is bigger than we think, and there are many more unseen hands that have to be dealt with.
Well, when you look at the history of football, I'm sure when you look at even the English Premier League, there have been instances where players have been suspended or cautioned for involving in betting. I'm sure when you dig up the social media, you see some of these things. Then the football in itself, when you look at the recent experience of Juve, I think my colleague Carl Tufor mentioned Paolo Rossi. A lot of people didn't know that he was banned for betting. So in football, these things exist. But as I said, the associations, the federations who admit and know that these things exist have structures, and they deal with them as and when they happen, so that the integrity of the game can be assured. That anybody who deludes himself that what happens in football is a mirror made of what generally humankind and human nature is, you'll be wasting your time. Football itself, I'm sure until recently the underworld was really involved in football, the mafia, betting, and all these things happen. But the federation, the FA, must show leadership and must show responsibility and must give the commitment, the signal that they are prepared to deal with it.
So it's a very thin line we all hang on, in the sense that on one scale you see these betting companies putting money into football, and through the operation of their business, the game is also brought into disrepute. Unfortunate.
One of the just before you started into, you spoke about my commitment over the decade to do the right thing, club licensing, and so leadership of football clubs too must be responsible. Leadership of football clubs must also be responsible, because as you said, these things are widespread. When you look at what we are talking about, Ashgrove, there were people who had a right on top of football clubs who were allegedly involved. So we cannot root it out if we don't have people with integrity leading our football clubs, people who see their reputations at stake, not just their personal reputation, their clubs and the whole image, and the whole image of the club they lead, and then also to know that the most sustainable way of making sure that the clubs are competitive and we attract the necessary money to run the club is to run the game with integrity. We need to make sure that everybody associated with football agents, referees, managers of players, everybody involved in football, don't do the kind of things that would damage and dampen the image of the game. Unfortunately, if we don't make sure that we have people with integrity across all levels, these things will persist. And it's human nature. It will happen. But once people who lead football, people who lead the game, shows that they are people with integrity and they are responsible, we'll be able to eliminate and minimize it to the barest discernible thing.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Vincent Suaudute. It's always great to have your perspective in these conversations. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Nathaniel.
Vincent Suaudute is a former, CEO of Accra Hearts of Oak, now serves on the board of the club, and is also a former CEO of King Faisal Football Club. So we'll be getting on the phone line again, and we'll be picking the perspective of the Vice President of the Sports Writers Association of Ghana and editor of Graphic Sports, Mr. Morris Kwanzaa. Before that, let's do these messages. Now, hi Nat, in other jurisdictions, match fixing is a serious crime. We must commend the Ghana FA for the decisive action and punishment meted out. Now, the timing of the announcement may be wrong though, but I also think that it is better now than later, because the GPL is ongoing and Ash Gold could suffer relegation to Division 1. Should that happen, then the effect of the punishment will not bite as it is supposed to be hard biting now. Well done to the DC of the FA. Douglas Inablikuma sent this message. Thank you very much. Some more messages on our WhatsApp console. Remember, it's 055 1111 997. You wanted to make a point, Jerome, but before that, let me do this one from Mek Jangma in Tema. Okay. Now, please, let's rather celebrate and commend the FA at least for the first time being proactive in matters such as these. Kudos to them. Thank you very much, Mek Jangma in Tema. We'll be going to Morris Kwanzaa on the phone line in a bit, but let's take this reaction from you, Jerome.
Mr. Odute makes a very important point. We are not presenting anybody as a saint in our football, but he makes a point about having leadership which is responsible, people who have integrity to run our game. Look, Ash Gold, they've gone on appeal, so you can't say much. But just using what the FA gave us, just using the FA's ruling, to have a club's leadership who go down to selling their own matches, fixing their own matches, only tells me that the people running the game there are not responsible people. So it is key. And you see, it is maybe from now the FA should begin looking at people who set up clubs, people who run clubs, people who come into our game.
Exactly. And you know, I'm just looking at the situation in the English Premier League now, where there's that void at Chelsea which needs to be filled. And we're just getting to learn that the closest prospective buyer may not eventually go through, with the purchase.
So we need to check these things. Otherwise, look, if anybody can just get up and run football clubs, we are going to have problems like this, because you can't even tell why he is coming into the game. The point about leaders being responsible and having people with integrity running businesses is key. And here we are talking about football business. If we cannot have people who would be ready to do the right things, but would assume that they can just do anything and get away with it, we will run into problems like this one.
Kofi in Kaswa has sent this message. He says, if betting companies sponsor clubs, it doesn't mean it will encourage players and those in football to bet on matches. If alcohol, beverage companies sponsor a football club, it doesn't mean it will make players drunkards. Okay, this is from Kofi in Kaswa.
That's true.
Okay, let's get on the phone line and speak to Morris Kwanzaa. Morris is the editor of Graphic Sports and the vice president of the Sports Writers Association of Ghana. Morris, good to have you.
Yeah, good to be on the program with you. Sorry, I'm in the Eastern region for a funeral, so I couldn't be with you in the studio.
I hope Mama Diza and the kids are doing well. We haven't celebrated her birthday. The weeks are running by, so we need to, do the code C12.
I trust you, man.
Yeah. No, Morris, you have lived through the generations when it comes to administrations of our football, eras of Ghana, of the Ghana Premier League and what it looks like. Now, in conversations after this decision was taken, you get to hear people talk about how this is an age-long practice and how, these things were happening, way back. Is it to also say that subculture of saying, these people are our brothers, we don't want them to go into relegation, these people are the face of the league, we need to save them, that little subculture that has been grown over the period, is what is metamorphosing into this particular problem?
Thank you. Good to be on the program once again. I listened to bits of the conversation, and I want to continue from where my brother, I presume Jerome, said. I think it all has to do with sporting integrity. Over the years, we've had these problems. They keep recurring in different forms, but we've not strengthened the integrity. We've not put it on the front burner. Now it's hit us in the face, and then now we're talking about it. I hope that after this, we will begin to take very practical steps to make sure that we don't see this thing coming again. Definitely, people will always want to bend the rules. That's why everywhere there, over the years, you have regulations being tightened and a lot more collaborations to make sure that you are ahead of the syndicate. After this ASGO thing, I went back into my archives, even long before I joined sports journalism. I remember 1988-89 football season. There was a team called Nima Manchester United, run by the late Henry Atamaya, one time has chief executive. They got into trouble because there was this fixed matches, 39 goals in 2 matches. I think week 25, they were all tied at on points. So week 26 was supposed to be the decider. And then we had outrageous result of Secondary 11 Hadakes beating Wise by 19 goals, and then Nima Manchester United beating BA United by 20 goals. What did the FA do? They nullified the result. They declared all 4 teams losers. They did not have a share. They were denied a share of the gate proceeds. In addition, they were fined 250,000 cedis. That's all Ghana cedis. That's about 25,000. I'm sure then the value was... What the FA did also was that if you couldn't pay within 10 days, then you were demoted. I think Lima Manchester United could not pay, and then that was the beginning of the club's extinction. But what first thing was that the FA took decisive reaction. They nullified the match to send the wrong right signals, and then they declared them losers. And then fast forward, I said 2007, we saw the issues involving Ukwa United, Nania FC. So they come in various forms. Now, because of the sophistication and then the gambling markets, I mean, it's over 1.5 trillion market. Now, betting is the biggest threat. We have other forms, but the betting is the biggest threat. And now, what happened the last time just tells us that we need to up the ante. The integrity of the sport is at stake, and if we don't take decisive action, we are going to destroy the game totally. And so what happens? I'm happy the FA did a thorough job. We can argue about the timing, but at least we saw a thorough investigation. Now there are a number of sanctions. Some of them have given hints that they will appeal. Let's see what goes through. But going forward, I think we need to take decisive action. We need a raft of new codes. We need to get players and people to sign up to the new codes, and not just signing to it, but they need to understand what they are signing to. They need to know the do's and don'ts, the ethical behavior, not ethical behavior. But we need also an FA that will show strong leadership, and they need a lot of support, a lot of stakeholder engagement. And there are best practices across the world to guide us in our fight against match manipulation in all its forms.
Well, let's just see how it all turns out. And just like you mentioned, we're looking forward to seeing what happens, especially with the appeals. And of course, some individuals have also come out to say they hardly have anything to do with this, and so they probably would have to go through the processes to get themselves cleared.
Well, I think it's fair that you give people a hearing, and I'm sure they have they can use the football processes up to the court of arbitration for sports in Switzerland. So let's see what defense they'll put up. But I'm happy that at least the FA came. We can talk about the timing later on, but we saw a very thorough investigation and then a certain a number of sanctions. But we shouldn't leave it to that, because I know, people who are criminally minded, people who are only motivated by what goes into their pockets without due cost to sporting integrity, they always want to circumvent the laws, and so we always need to get ahead of them and not rather firefight. We need to prevent the fire than try to fight the fire when it's set.
All right, Morris, we're grateful to you. Thank you very much. Morris Kwansah is the Vice President of the Sports Writers Association of Ghana and is also editor of the Graphic Sports newspaper. So, major incidents over the period. For those of a certain generation, they'll remember Nania and Ukweu. Yeah. And for those of a certain generation as well, they'll want to remember this one. Let's quickly delve into what the two clubs have put out so far. Now, the communications department during the week released this from Ashanti Gold, and it reads: Ashanti Gold Sporting Club notes with shock and disappointment the decision of the GFA Disciplinary Committee dated May 16, 2022, in relation to the misconduct charges leveled against the club, its officials and players in respect of its 2020-2021 Ghana Premier League Matchday 34 game against Inter Allies FC. Ashanti Gold wished to state that the decision is against the weight of evidence and whatever transpired during the hearing. Ashanti Gold has reviewed the decision and is being dissatisfied with it and has filed a notice of appeal against the decision to the GFA's appeals committee. Ashanti Gold has also requested a record of the proceedings and record of appeal of the disciplinary committee hearing and will, upon receipt of same, file additional grounds of appeal. The club will exhaust all the legal avenues available to secure justice. We ask the playing body, the technical team, and our cherished supporters and other stakeholders of the club to remain calm and resolute during these times. And this is signed by the communications department of Ashanti Gold Football Club. In a bit, I'll also be giving you excerpts of an interview that I had with the lawyer for Inter Allies Football Club on grounds or key points based on which they have decided to file an appeal. In taking contributions on this matter as well, we'll be reaching seasoned football analyst and lawyer Willie Alassani in a bit, so that he can also give us his perspective to this conversation as we get closer and closer to the finish line. But please do keep your comments coming in. Keep your comments coming in. Yeah, some of the individuals have said that, look, it's Nana Darling, for instance, the director of Ashanti Gold, says that he was invited to the committee. He made an appearance, yet it's been stated and he's been punished based on the fact that he's not been there. I think clearly we're going to see weeks of appeals and all.
You see, I like the fact that since this ruling was released, the consensus is that it's good the FA went the path it took. Only that there are issues, and some of those issues are just what are coming up. I mean, one of them is what you just mentioned. I believe whoever has a problem with the ruling must take appropriate steps to remedy him or herself. So, for instance, Nana Darlington, if it is really the case that he was called by the committee, he went, and the committee reports that he didn't come, he has every right to challenge that. And it's as simple as that. So, for me, it's for instance good that Ash Gold is has filed an appeal and are seeking redress in a form. It's also good. Now we'll be left with the choice of waiting to see what happens. But the key and important thing for me is that there was a wrongdoing. The FA looked at it and decided that this wrongdoing must be punished. If in the process of deciding that we are punishing this wrongdoing, certain things have gone wrong, I'm not saying that it is okay things went wrong. I'm just saying that in the process of meting out punishment, the FA itself got certain things wrong. Let's use appropriate means to also let the FA sit up. That is how we can build a proper football culture.
All right, let's quickly take the thoughts of the lawyer for, Inter-Allies Football Club, Felix Nana Osei. I had a conversation with him on Sports Today a few days ago, and he's been talking about the key points based on which they are filing their appeal on this matter. What are the key, reliefs you want to seek? I mean, considering the fact that this decision has been taken and, it has put the name Inter-Allies in dark light.
Okay, so Nathaniel, good afternoon to your Sherry's viewers and listeners as well. The key point or the key reliefs we are seeking from the appeals committee basically is a reversal of the decision that the disciplinary committee has taken against the club. Now, if you've read the verdict or the decision, the club was sanctioned, being demoted to the Division 2 league, and a fine of 100,000 Ghana cedis was also slapped on the club. It is a contention of the club that the evidence that was adduced or led during the whole proceedings or trial at the disciplinary committee was not that substantial enough to pin the club down by the charges that were leveled against us. So the base of our appeal is that we want a reversal, a complete reversal of the verdicts that was handed against us.
Now, let's get into a few details here. Now, there is an official who was deemed or who was eventually certified to have been, a de facto member of your club, considering the fact that he traveled on the team bus. Is there anything you'd want to clarify regarding that description of the gentleman as a member of the club?
Nathaniel, that is actually the gravamen of our appeal. Now, the entire decision of the disciplinary committee was hinged on this gentleman who is referred to as Emmanuel Niamua. Now, it's quite interesting and intriguing that, let me lay the facts bare. Emmanuel Niamua used to be with the club. As far back as the 2014-2015 season, Emmanuel Niamua was the logistics officer of the club. Now, after the 2014-2015 season, he was installed as a chief in one of these towns. So he resigned his position as an official of the club. Now, the season in contention is a 2020-2021 season, football season. The only link that the disciplinary committee established and dwelt on by saying that because Emmanuel Niamua was with us as far back as 2014-2015, per that fact alone, he became an official of the club. It's not substantial. It doesn't hold.
Well, before you go on, it also states that he traveled on the team bus as well. And within football terms and football circles, we all do understand that the team bus is reserved strictly for the technical team, some administrators, and the playing body of a club when they're moving from one place to the other.
Yes, I agree. Nathaniel, I agree. He traveled with the team. But you see, because he used to be with us, there was no reason to believe that he had a hidden agenda to execute. And frankly speaking, if matters will be put into perspective, the said Emmanuel Niamua, as we speak, or to the time the decision was made, is a board member of the RFE, that is the Greater Accra Regional Football Association. So fine, he travels with the club. On the D-Day, he was also seen with the club, but he is not an official of the club. If you read the decision by the disciplinary committee, they established the fact that even though he was with the club, he wasn't seen to be on a technical bench. So let me put this in perspective so that maybe your panelists or your viewers would understand.
Okay, so that was a conversation we had earlier with, the Council for Inter-Allies Football Club, Felix Nana Osei, and he has been clarifying a few points, including that description of Emmanuel Niamwa as a member of the club. He says that he previously worked, he was an executive of the club, but as we speak, his name is not registered at the FA.
Okay.
So just like you said, I mean, we're looking ahead to some very interesting times.
You see, there is always going to be problems with decisions like this. I am not seeing this decision as sacrosanct, something that we cannot question. No, not at all. I'm in support of what the FA has done because it sends a certain signal that you cannot do these things. Now, if, like the lawyer pointed out, there are issues with the decision, there are certain things the FA didn't take into consideration, maybe wrong accusation, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is, that is why there's a room for redress. Let all the affected people seek redress and let's see what happens. But the message should be that match fixing is something none of us should entertain in our football. And that should be very clear.
0302216541. 0302216541. Let's see if we can squeeze in a call or two. We're also getting indications ahead of the very thick transfer period that we're expecting that Kylian Mbappe will stay on at PSG and is not joining Real Madrid this summer. And I was told that the final decision has been taken, and this is according to some multiple reports in Europe. So Kylian Mbappe is staying on at PSG. As to whether that will result in their winning the Champions League, we'd never know. All right, so a quick one or two phone calls, and then we can wrap it up. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. I hope you're doing well. This is Ajman Joseph from tonight.
Thank you very much, Ajman. Please go ahead.
And Mr. Jerome Ashe was making a submission concerning evidence. So is the FA telling me that they don't have a library, that every single match played, they are going to get a video of it? And unless the individual produce a video, if that's the case, then there's a problem. No. That's my submission.
Thank you very much.
Yes, that is true. But from what I know, the FA records every game. There's always an FA cameraman at a game. And I'm sure, I don't know, but I'm sure there was one. Probably, I mean, we didn't get the video from him, but this was
There's another conversation about our archiving, especially. And, last weekend we were having a conversation here about, the legendary, C.K. Jemfi, whose book was launched during the week.
It's a whole conversation. Myself, last week, I was at the University of Ghana Archaeology Department.
Yeah.
A friend was doing some presentation on heritage.
Okay.
I mean, how we keep certain things. And his was on football. He decided to do some work, some archaeological work on Kotoko and Hearts of Oak. And I left the place wondering what our clubs have been doing. Because the amount of information this guy was able to retrieve, put them there on display, I mean, telling the public things that some of us, even though we say we've been in football, we don't know. And I can tell you there are a lot of them. If you go to our clubs, you won't find it. But this is information about them. And they don't have any way of storing them or keeping them or even bringing people to come and look at photos of old players and stuff like that. So that conversation is a whole big one. I mean, I was struck by one thing. Being told that Opokunti, for instance, a Kotoko legend, scored 142 goals for Kotoko. I was struck. I said, wow. How true is this? I don't know, because at the club I have not come across anything that authenticates what he has put out. So, Nat, that's a whole big conversation.
Every other time when we're wrapping up the show, it's we end up on a note where we have to have another very big conversation. Well, that's how we do it here on the Joy Sports Link. Thank you so much for doing the listening. Thanks to the whole production team. And of course, there are major reactions coming up. Would say congratulations to Nigeria for winning the WAFU Zone B tournament. That was played in Niger. The final was played last night, and they beat Benin by 3-1. Ghana unable to go to the final. And, of course, the under-17 women's team, the Black Maidens, also looking forward to getting qualification at the expense of Morocco. So thank you so much. We'll be back next week with another Joy Sports Link. But remember, tomorrow is decision day in the English Premier League, and we will be here to bring you all of the moments and all the action. Thank you so much. Thanks to the whole production team. Thanks to Mr. Jerome Autry and all of our guests who joined us virtually. My name is Nathaniel Atto, and I have love for sport.